Well, it sounds like a pretty great freshman year. Good grades and a varsity letter on the basketball team, but it hasn't been an easy path for St. Thomas More's Christopher Caulfield.
The Champaign native was born completely deaf, and despite that, he's an honor roll student and is even being looked at as a Division I basketball recruit.
However, as ABC News Channel 15's Aaron Matus tells us, this is much more than a story about a deaf basketball player.
You could argue that Chris Caulfield was given a lot at birth. A loving family, a bright mind, and some pretty significant athletic ability. He's got some great memories of being a youngster.
I remember going to the beach for the first time when I was little, and I remember chasing my dad around.
But there are other emotions from his childhood, not so good ones, because you could also argue that Chris Caulfield was given a pretty tough hand to play at birth.
He was profoundly deaf. No hearing at all.
Yeah, I remember being angry a lot. Always kind of thought negative things since I was, angry for my deafness. Like, why does it have to be this way,
He speaks very well, something he had to work extensively at. Chris received a cochlear implant at the age of 17 months. The device gave him access to sound for the first time in his life.
Kids typically spend, the first year of their lives listening and playing with sound and starting that whole babbling thing, exploring how they can make different sounds.
He missed out on all that and was way behind. Still, his parents wanted him to attend mainstream school, and speech therapy began.
1,500 hours before he was 9 years old.
I think I put a lot of work into my childhood, more than a kid deserves to, But since I was given the card that God gave me, I had to work at it.
Chris was the very first student at the Carl Auditory Oral School. It was then called the St. Joseph Institute for the Deaf at Carl. Prior to its opening, there wasn't much in the area in terms of schooling for patients after they got access to sound.
He had an internal drive to be excellent. He always had a lot that he wanted to say.
The Caulfields made a commitment to this school, and that choice has paid off for both parties. Chris is even featured in the lobby of the new building opened in 2007.
Special because he's successful, special because they're one of the reasons that we survived those early years, and they continue to be such a great resource and advocate to people in the area.
It helped me with my social skills, maybe like how to communicate with people, how to talk to them, how to communicate.
Emotionally, they're the people that helped us here and got us to where we're at, and really appreciate that.
It's easy to see where the emotions come from looking at Chris today. But the successes he's having in the classroom and on the court aren't that surprising to the people that saw his early drive.
We knew that he was going to achieve great things, and we look forward to seeing what he's going to do over the next 20 years. We think he'll keep on changing the world.
He's definitely changing lives, giving hope to others in tough situations. Wait until you see how this 15-year-old, who has been given so much and also so little, is now giving back.
That was Aaron Matus reporting. We'll have part 2 of that story tomorrow at 5 o'clock. And Aaron mentioned Chris was the very first student at the Carl Auditory Oral School. 55 students have graduated since then.
Overcoming a disability is not easy. Champaign's Christopher Caulfield knows this all too well. The 15-year-old was born deaf. Now, his life has been a battle, but that hasn't stopped him from chasing his dreams. Those dreams include playing college basketball while taking classes to be an engineer. In part 2 of this special report, Aaron Matus shows us it hasn't been an easy road for Christopher, and despite that, he still tries to make life easier for others.
The home videos show a happy kid, and so far this relatively short story has a happy ending.
Come on.
Christopher Caulfield was born deaf, received a cochlear implant at 17 months, and 14 years later, he is an honor roll student at St. Thomas More and is being looked at as a Division I basketball recruit.
You just go with the flow.
But going with the flow hasn't been so simple. 1,500 hours of speech therapy before he was 9 years old wasn't exactly Christopher's idea of fun.
There you go.
And growing up with a disability can be a harsh assignment on a young child.
Why my friends had to, like, you know, say things one time, then just walk away and be like, all right, whatever, dude, you can't hear, I'm not going to talk to you, you know. You know, it's hard.
We don't set any records for being invited to parties. It's nothing against Christopher. It's just he's a lot of work to be around. You have to repeat some things. Kids maybe don't have a lot of patience. They're nice kids.
They play defense.
Chris says things have gotten easier as he and his classmates have gotten older and more mature. His deafness is simply a part of him now.
I'm very comfortable with it, you know, I'm used to it.
Instead of focusing on his disability, he is focused on other people's disabilities.
It's pretty strong.
Swan Special Care Center in Champaign is an extended stay home for people with multiple disabilities. Chris and his family volunteer there on Saturday mornings with Holy Cross Church.
Amazing grace.
They bring a little joy to the residents with song, prayer, and simple interaction.
I want to give back to God by going to Swan Center and actually helping his children.
Christopher feels that that's where he wants to be, you know, and hanging out with those folks.
The residents at Swan Center look forward to the Caulfield's visits.
When they're not here, they're down, but when they're here, you can tell they're upbeat.
Sometimes I wonder if it couldn't get any worse than that, you know, and sometimes I'm just thankful that I'm only deaf.
Look at these kids and what they're dealing with here. I'll take deaf, is what he says.
Chris has been volunteering here for 7 years. In fact, he already has almost all of his required service hours for high school complete.
No matter your disability, that you can do what you can if you want to. And I think that I saw that on Christopher.
The glory of God.
He may have been born deaf, but Christopher wants his message heard.
You need to be a good person to everybody.
It hasn't been easy, but that happy kid we saw in the home videos remains that way today, and the future looks bright.
Given what's happened to us, we're dancing on the tables, big time.
In Champaign, Aaron Matus, ABC News Channel 15.
Well, as you heard, Chris hopes to play college basketball in the future, and if he's able to do that, he would like to go back to the Swan Center to sign his national letter of intent. It's a lovely story.
What a terrific kid.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.